Get to another key race alert right now. 5% of the vote is in. Let's look at the Republican side. First, Trump maintains an impressive lead. 53.2% to Cruz, 33.3%, 10.5% for John Kasich. Right now, Trump is ahead by more than 11,000 votes. 5% of the vote is in. On the Democratic side, 4% of the vote is in. Hillary Clinton continues to maintain her lead, 54.8% to Bernie Sanders, 45.2%. She's up by nearly 3,000 votes right now. Let's go over to John King, who's looking at the state of Indiana very closely. First, on the Republican side, what are you seeing?
Well, I'm seeing so far, again, 5% very early. Can't jump to conclusions. But Mr. Trump, obviously, with 50% plus right now, 30 of the delegates tonight go to the statewide winner. So Donald Trump at the moment, 5% in, long way to go. But it looks like he's happy. They're happy in Trump campaign headquarters right now. Then it gets a little bit more complicated. So I just want to bring this out because as you see those two Cruz counties in the northeast corner of the state, as we go on in the night, we may have to do something like this, Wolf, which is to put a map of the congressional districts overlay, and you see what's happening here. At the moment, right now, you know, Trump is winning in the Fort Wayne area. Looks like he would win this congressional district right up here in the top corner, but we'll have to count the votes as we go on. 3 delegates for each of the 9 congressional districts, so 57 total. 30 go to the statewide winner, then 3 for each of the 9 congressional districts. So we're going to have to watch this out. We're at 5% right now. Not much we can say except that Trump is building an early lead. And if you want to get those statewide delegates, that's what you want to do, build an early lead. So we'll be using this as we go on. This is a conservative House district right here in the middle in the South. This is a very conservative House district up here. There are Republican primaries in both of those 2 conservative House districts. That's the place I would look for tonight. If conservatives are coming out in that primary, are they voting for Donald Trump or Ted Cruz? If Trump is winning here and Trump wins here, then Trump is going to win across the state. So you want to watch to see how that plays out. On the Democratic side, if we come over here, again, we're at 5%. So let's just take a breath. We got a lot of votes to count as we go through. But if you're looking at the map, you're going to look up here. Lake County up here. Remember the very late count traditionally. We were up at 3 o'clock in the morning last time, still waiting for votes from Gary, Indiana, and Lake County. We'll see how this goes. African-American base up here, close to Chicago. You see the proximity, very important to Secretary Clinton. Also, you come down in here, I think I got the county right, Marion, Indiana here. Our delegate expert, Donna Brazil, can tell you up here. And in here, there are bonus, if you will, Democratic delegates because of the minority community. So see if Secretary Clinton can go here and here. For Senator Sanders, the key, obviously, you want to cut into Clinton's expected margins in the African-American communities, and then you want to run it up in the small rural counties. Let me show you the 2008 map to show you what I mean. This is Obama, the lighter blue. He won up here. She actually won down here last time. But you see all this? This is Hillary Clinton last time. A very narrow victory by winning. They're tiny. The population is small, but she ran it up to offset the Obama support in the more populated areas. So as we count the votes tonight, we'll use the 2008 map on the Democratic side to see if Clinton can eke out another one or if Senator Sanders can, if you will, extend the race into May and say, hey, the math might be against me, but I still got some juice. Yeah, the polls in the eastern time zone of Indiana, they've closed. Central time zone, they closed at the top of the hour. That's right. All right, Jake, over to you.
Thanks, Wolf. We're still interested in learning more about the voters that turned out to vote today in the Indiana primary. Let me bring back CNN's political director, David Chalian. And David, you have some information about Republican voters and their feelings about the government, their feelings about party leaders.
Yeah, this is the stuff that has been making up the driving force behind Republican voters this entire election season, Jake. So we asked folks, how are you feeling about the federal government? Take a look at this. 3% say enthusiastic, 10% satisfied, but 50% say dissatisfied, 34% say angry. This is a less angry electorate, the Indiana Republican primary electorate, than we've seen as sort of an average over all the previous primaries. It averaged out at about 41% angry. This electorate, a little less angry. And as you said, we asked about how they feel about their own party leaders. This is on track from what we've seen. 53% of Republican primary voters in Indiana say they feel betrayed by their own party's leaders. 43% say they do not feel betrayed. This has just been one of the astonishing developments of the entire cycle so far, to see majority after majority of Republican primary voters say that they're betrayed by their own party.
Interesting. David Chalian, thanks so much. And Dana, one of the problems with reading anything into the angry with feelings of betrayal with GOP leaders, or how angry or dissatisfied you are with federal government, is that Donald Trump and Ted Cruz both convey a message that might attract those voters.
They do, but it's actually still stunning to me, having covered Ted Cruz in the Senate and seeing up close and personal what an outsider he was even though he was technically an insider. He's a senator. And we've seen that play out, the fact that he doesn't have any
He's loathed. He's
friends,
loathed on Capitol
close
Hill.
friends there, and
Yeah.
it's been very hard for him to get support. But still, even with that sensibility that people have about him here, I was, again, in Indiana yesterday and at a Ted Cruz rally. And there were voters there who said, you know, I like him, I sort of like what he stands for, but I am just done. We want somebody who is completely out of the mold, different from anybody we have nominated for a very long time. And, you know, Donald Trump has his foibles, as a lot of voters said to me, but he is that person. He is that new person who can really do things differently. And it obviously has been the theme for the past 6 months. And it continues to be so, even now with Ted Cruz, as you said, the only other guy who's potentially the outsider in the race. Don't you think?
Donald Trump definitely out there trying to convey to voters that he is an outsider. He definitely acts like an outsider, not a typical politician. When Carly Fiorina, Cruz's running mate, quote unquote, came out, one of the things she suggested is that Hillary Clinton, this is her words, not mine, Hillary Clinton is a politician up for sale, and Donald Trump is the kind of special interest who's been buying politicians like Hillary Clinton. They're trying to draw that sort of connection with Clinton and also suggest that Donald Trump has been part of the system,
Yes.
just not the system in Washington. We'll see if that had any resonance in Indiana during this contest.
You're so right, Jake. They're trying so hard to do that. Carly Fiorina last night at a rally where I was in Indianapolis, that was the thrust of her message over and over again, how Donald Trump is part of the machine. Don't let him fool you. And it's why, as Ted Cruz has really been, the anxiety of this night has been more and more visible on his face and in his demeanor as it's come closer. He has done a lot more of that, and of course, as we talked about last week, blame the media, but not just the media. It's suggested that Donald Trump is part of that whole crowd that Hillary Clinton is part of.
And Donald Trump hasn't denied it. He says, yes, that's true. I used politicians. I made contributions to get what I want, and that system stinks. I'm going to change it. He doesn't deny the charges. He says, yes, that's true, and that's why Hillary Clinton came to my wedding, because I'd given her money and I wanted her there, so she came. It's an interesting acknowledgement and then pivot, but that's what I want to change. Wolf, to you.
Thank you. We're closing in on the top of the hour when we may be able to project winners on this critical primary night. Later, we're going to hear from Donald Trump live, Ted Cruz as well, Bernie Sanders. We'll be listening very closely for the tone Cruz and Trump take